me. And boy, my posse is getting bigger every week. Before long, y'all will all be up here with us. If you would, stand and let's do, Sarah has the words up for us. Number 12, if you need them, in the maroon hymnal, Just Over in the Glory Land. I'll sing loud now where they can hear you, okay? Sing it where they can hear you. I've a home prepared where the saints abide, just over in the glory land, and I long to be by my Savior's side, just over in the glory land, just over in the glory land of joy, the happy angel band, just over in the glory land, just over in the glory land, there with the mighty host I'll stand, just over in the glory land. I am on my way to those mansions fair, just over in the glory land, there to sing God's praise and His glory share, just over in the glory land, just over in the glory land, I'll join the happy angel band, just over in the glory land, just over in the glory land, there with the mighty host I'll stand, just over in the glory land. What a joyful thought that my Lord I'll see, just over in the glory land, and with kindred safe there forever be, just over in the glory land, just over in the glory land, I'll join the happy angel band, just over in the glory land, just over in the glory land, there with the mighty host I'll stand, just over in the glory land. With the blood-washed throng I will shout and sing, just over in the glory land. Glad hosannas to Christ the Lord and King, just over in the glory land, just over in the glory land, I'll join the happy angel band, just over in the glory land, just over in the glory land, there with the mighty host I'll stand, just over in the glory land. Mark Brown, would you lead us in prayer, please? You can be seated. Let's do 151. What a day that will be. actually was going to put him on. He asked if we could do Learning to Lean, number 28. And I said, yeah, we'll do it next Sunday. And then the whole time I was singing that song, I thought, no, we're not going to do it next Sunday. We're going to do it tonight. So if y'all would stand with us again, and let's do, Sarah will probably pull that. Can you pull that one up real quick? If you don't, that's okay. Number 28, and most of you know the words to it anyway, Learning to Lean. Is it? Well, you play it in whichever key you want to. We'll sing it. You just play it in whatever, whichever one. I don't know. Is it in the blue book? I didn't think it was in there. It is. Okay. 133. Oh, 333. 333 in the blue book too, if you want. A little easier to see. There's 4 verses in it, 2 in there. Okay. 3. No, which, well, depending on which book you have, just follow me. I've got 4 verses, but we're only going to do the first, second, and last. So that might be the same 3 you've got. Okay, we got to get on the same song. Because you're playing Leaning on the Everlasting Arms, and I'm looking at Learning to Lean. And that's 2 different songs. Because I'm thinking, uh-oh. 3, Leaning on the Everlasting Arms, okay? All right, let's do it. Sarah does have that one. Leaning on the Everlasting Arms, I think, on the screen. So we'll switch. Let's do 333. And she'll have the words. Learn to Lean. We'll do that. We'll do that. Here we go. They've got the words up on the board. So you don't even have to have it on the book. All right, go ahead now. Hope you only had 2 or 3 points. What a fellowship, what a joy divine.
I think y'all figured something out. If you sing a fast couple of songs in a row, you get the fat preacher out of wind, so he won't preach as long. I know what y'all are doing. Tonight we're going to look at the desire for more. And if you have your Bibles, I want to ask you to find Ephesians chapter 4. And we're going to be in verses 17 through 19 this evening. And so when you get over there, if you would, please stand in honor of the reading of God's Word. Ephesians chapter 4, beginning in verse 17. So this I say, and affirm together with the Lord, that you walk no longer just as the Gentiles also walk, in the futility of their mind, being darkened in their understanding, excluded from the life of God because of the ignorance that is in them, because of the hardness of their heart, and they, having become callous, have given themselves over to sensuality for the practice of every kind of impurity with greediness. You may be seated. How many of you have heard this? Keeping up with the Joneses. Anybody ever heard that? Now, how many of you have ever tried to keep up with the Jones? Their name don't have to be Jones. It can be Smith, whatever, right? But, you know, I'll never forget, I bought me a new-to-me truck one time, and I was so proud of it, and I thought, boy, that's sharp. And then it wasn't just a couple of weeks later that my dad goes and buys one even better than mine. And I thought, well, dadgummit, you know, I'm going to have to wait 8 years before I can top him, you know. But isn't it that way? Whenever we get something, we're proud of it, and then we see something just a little bit better than it, and all of a sudden, we're now wanting that. And I think that's something that we all tend to struggle with to some degree in life. In our text, impurity is sinfulness and greediness is unsatisfaction. So we're going to have sinfulness and unsatisfaction. That's what Paul is addressing with here. And, I think we all have things that we struggle with. But, does anybody have a problem with wanting things? Okay, good. Y'all can go home, and I'll just sit here and preach to myself, because I do. And I'm not as bad as I once was with eBay and Craigslist and LSN and all those good things. And the only reason I'm not bad with them anymore is because I've discovered Facebook Marketplace, right? It is the place where time goes to die for me. I can get on there and search things, and I find things I didn't even know I needed on that thing. But, we can get caught up in looking at these things and just, giving all of our attention and becoming focused on that in a horrible way. And it's not just with things, but, think about positions or careers or all these. I'll never forget when I was at the factory, they had a job opening, and a guy put in for it, and he ultimately got it, and he was so happy. And then they posted one that he thought was a little bit better. And he was just tore all up. If I'd have known this, I would have waited. And he was just beside himself. And so we can get this way to have that desire for more with a lot of things. And I don't think that anybody is immune to it. Our society builds on this with the way they market things. They show people in positions where it makes us want to be like them. Think about any product. Have you ever seen a commercial where the people weren't having fun, weren't enjoying the product, weren't, just living their best life? And they do that to try to suck us in. Even our celebrities and their lifestyles aim to get us to long for that. Have you ever bought something because one of your favorite celebrities has worn it or had it? Anybody ever do that? Okay, well, I'm the only one here. I got a problem, Tony. All right, goodness gracious. Whew. I seen a McDonald's ad with a guy I liked on it one time, and we was living in Cookeville, and I thought, you know what, I do need McDonald's, and I left the house and went and got me a McDonald's just because he had it, right? So we have issues where apparently I have issues with this. And so I want us to look at two ways this desire is sinful, and the first one is covetousness. Exodus chapter 20 and verse 17, it's one of the big 10. You shall not covet your neighbor's house, you shall not covet your neighbor's wife, or his male servant, or his female servant, or his ox, or his donkey, or anything that belongs to your neighbor. To covet means to want something that somebody else has. That's what it means. And Paul reiterates it when he writes to the church in Rome, in Romans 7:7, he says, "What shall we say then? Is the law sin? May it never be. On the contrary, I would not have come to know sin except through the law. For I would not have known about coveting if the law had not said, you shall not covet." So Paul is reiterating that covetousness is a sin. Have you ever thought this? I'd like to trade places with them, or I would like to have their whatever. That's covetousness. And we've all, again, got wrapped up in it. And this will never bring any kind of satisfaction. As Solomon said in Proverbs chapter 14 and verse 30, "A tranquil heart is life to the body, but passion is rottenness to the bones." That word passion could be translated as envy. And the only reason that we want what somebody else has is because we're envious. We're jealous of whatever it is. I'll never forget, and this was when I was a little kid, but for entertainment, what Mom and Dad would do, they would load us up and we'd just go riding around. Anybody ever just go riding around? I mean, that's what we did. And I hated it with all I got. And now, as a grown-up, guess what I like to do? I just like to ride around and look at things, right? And I'll never forget, Mama, she would always look and she would always say this: "How in the world do they have what they have? How is it they've got that?" And Dad would always say, "They're in debt to their eyeballs, that's why." And you know, I catch myself saying those same things every now and then. But we have to understand that when we're envious of somebody, that brings us to covetousness. We want those things. And covetousness is a sin. The second way this desire is sinful is in the form of lust. Listen to Galatians 5:17. "For the flesh sets its desire against the Spirit, and the Spirit against the flesh. For these are in opposition to one another, so that you may not do the things that you please." Now there he is describing lust. And what battles we face is that, flesh and spirit. And I know some people say, "Well, now wait a minute, I don't deal with lust, I don't struggle with it." Lust is not always a sexual sin. We tend to think it's that way, but it's not. You know, think about this. Have you ever told your kids, whatever you do not do this? I know Gerald had a conversation Wednesday with his little grandson, and how'd that go today, Gerald? He didn't listen, did he? And we all struggle with that. I'll never forget, one night I was working at Rhythm, and the plant manager comes around, and he wheels out this little contraption, and it's an eye wash station. And he looks and he goes around to everybody. He says, "Whatever you do not touch that." And that was at about 4 o'clock in the evening. I'm sitting there and I'm working with the guys that I work with, and it's eating at me, Tony. I mean, I can't take my eyes off of this thing. And so finally, after about 6 hours of looking at this thing, I told the guys, I said, "I'll be right back." I went over there and I'm looking at it, and I thought, well, if I get something in my eyes, I need to know how to use this thing, right? So I pop it open, I'm looking at it, I'm seeing it squirt and all this, and I was happy. I go back to working. About midnight, a lady comes over whose machine was right by that, and she said, "You're going to have to come clean this up." I said, "What are you talking about?" Well, there was that saline all over the floor. I cleaned it up like nothing happened. The next day I get to work, the plant manager is waiting on me. And he said, "You ruined a $6,000 investment." I said, "What do you mean I ruined it?" He said, "Well, it was a one-time use only thing." And I said, "Well, you're welcome for teaching you a good mistake, because what if 2 of us had something in our eyes?" I tried to spin it on him. But the whole thing was this. I was told don't do it, and I had to do it or it was going to kill me. You know what I was doing? I was lusting over that eye wash station. I had to have it. I had to touch it. I had to see it just because he told me not to. And that's something that kids deal with, adults deal with. And so we have to look at it from that. And lust is simply wanting something that we cannot have. That is what it means for lust. And it's the cause of corruption in the world. Peter put it this way in 2 Peter 1:4 when he said, "For by these he has granted to us his precious and magnificent promises, so that by them you may become partakers of the divine nature, having escaped the corruption that is in the world by lust." So why is corruption in the world? Because of lust. Think about the wars that are going on, and I ain't talking about anyone specific. They all start because somebody wants something they can't have. They want more land, they want more money, more power, whatever. And so even governments are not immune to it. We have an issue with corruption in the world that stems from lust. And this was the root of why Satan fell. In Isaiah chapter 14, he says, "How have you fallen from heaven, O star of the morning, son of the dawn? You have been cut down to the earth, you who have weakened the nations. But you said in your heart, I will ascend to heaven. I will raise my throne above the stars of God, and I will sit on the mount of assembly in the recesses of the north. I will ascend above the heights of the clouds. I will make myself like the Most High. Nevertheless, you will be thrust down to Sheol, to the recesses of the pit." So you know what we do when we lust? When we're wanting something we can't have, we're acting like the devil. How many of us want to act like the devil? None of us do. But yet we still look at things in this world and, boy, I'd love to have that. I'd love to have this. You know, I got my boat in the shop right now, and I can't wait to get that thing back. I've been happy all week. They called me, hey, it's about ready, and I was tore all pieces. Then we go down to Knoxville, and you know what they got on display? All these brand new boats. Guess what I was doing? Well, forget that one at home. Right? Forget that. I want this. And it drives us. And in that moment, I'm saying, I want what is not mine. I want something that I cannot have the same way that Satan did it. And what does that bring? It brings about corruption. And this desire will choke all of our spiritual growth if we allow it. In Mark chapter 4 and verse 19, it says, "But the worries of the world and the deceitfulness of riches and the desires for other things enter in and choke the word, and it becomes unfruitful." It becomes unfruitful. You know, too many times we'll be sitting and hearing the word preached, or we're reading our Bibles in our minds thinking about something completely else that we're wanting. I've been on that side as well as this side, and I understand if it gets to about 5 till 12 and the preacher ain't said we're about to wrap up, you know what y'all start thinking? Well, I hope the line at KFC ain't bad. I hope Patty's isn't too covered up, right? I'm trying to learn the restaurants here so I can tell you. But we start doing that. Why? Because I don't want to wait. And I'm starting to think about these things, and that's lust. That is wanting what I can't have. And it will choke out the word, and it will hinder our spiritual walk. But there is a cure for this, and it's very simple, and that's called contentment. How many of us today can honestly say, I am content where I am? I'm content with everything that God has given me. And that's not saying I don't want to grow. I don't want something better. There's nothing wrong with wanting something better, to strive to be better. But is it somebody else's, or is it something we can't have? That's when it becomes problematic. We have to be content where God has put us and with what God has given us. Paul is a great example of this. In Philippians 4, verses 11 and 12, listen to what he says. "Not that I speak from want, for I have learned to be content in whatever circumstances I am. I know how to get along with humble means, and I also know how to live in prosperity. In any and every circumstance, I have learned the secret of being filled and going hungry, both of having abundance and suffering need." What's Paul saying? No matter where I'm at, I'm content. Because this is where God has placed me. And if God has placed me there, I'm content. Now, does that mean, well, God has placed me here, I just don't even need to look for Him anymore? Of course not. But we have to understand to be happy with the blessings God has given us, because James 1 and 17 says, "Every good thing given and every perfect gift is from above, coming down from the Father of lights, with whom there is no variation or shifting shadow." All the things that you have, God give to you. Have you ever been to a birthday party for a little kid and they get something that they're not really excited about? Or something that they have and they say, well, I've already got this. Or I didn't want that. All right? If you give that kid that gift and he said it, what goes through your mind first thing? All right, you little jerk, I'll show you next year. You ain't getting nothing, right? And I wonder how many times does God the Father look down at me and He says, all right, you little jerk. I'll remember that next time when I'm trying to bless you, when I'm trying to give you something that is good, that is wonderful. And we also have to understand that what God does is He gives us everything that we need. Matthew 6:25-6 says, "For this reason I say to you, do not be worried about your life, as to what you will eat or what you will drink, nor for your body as to what you will put on. Is not life more than food, and the body more than clothing? Look at the birds of the air, that they do not sow, nor reap, nor gather into barns, and yet your heavenly Father feeds them. Are you not worth much more than they?" What's He saying? Don't worry. Don't worry about it. God will take care of you. He will give you every single thing you need. How many of us are actually in need tonight? How many of you have ever done this? You get up, you look for something to eat, you move 100 different things in the cabinet, you slam the door and you're mad because we ain't got nothing to eat here. People that really don't have nothing to eat would love to be in our situation. We've got clothes. Maybe they're not the fanciest or the best, but we're covered. We've got vehicles that can get us to and fro. We got somewhere to lay our head down at night. God will always give us what we need. But my problem is, I think those things I want are a need. And I think, well, I can't rest until I have it. I can't rest until I have it. And I get consumed with it, and it goes back to lust and covetousness. But commitment is the key to our success. Listen to what Paul told Timothy in 1 Timothy 6:6. "But godliness actually is a means of great gain when accompanied by" what? Contentment. Godliness is a means of great gain when it's accompanied by contentment. So, let's play around with that. If that statement is true, godliness is not a means of great gain if there is no contentment. I can strive to be godly all I want, but if I'm not content, I'm voiding it. You know, to be satisfied with what we are, who we are, where we are in life, it brings about peace. Because we know that we are where the Lord wants us. The world does not understand that. And if we want more, and listen, I'll tell you this, I know you could hear this sermon and think, well, we should never want anything else. But what about as a church? Do we want more as a church? I want more for Elizabeth Chapel. My goal is this. I want Elizabeth Chapel to be the best church ever. Now, I'm not saying in the world. I don't want to be better than Outreach or First Baptist or any other church. I want Elizabeth Chapel to be the best church Elizabeth Chapel has ever been. I want us to mature together. I want us to grow together. In number would be great, but spiritually, I want us to get more and more like Christ. And that's the desire that we should have, to strive for that. And if we want that, here's how we get it. Listen to Matthew 25, verses 20-23. "The one who had received the 5 talents came up and brought 5 more talents, saying, 'Master, you entrusted 5 talents to me. See, I've gained 5 more talents.' His master said to him, 'Well done, good and faithful slave. You were faithful with a few things. I will put you in charge of many things. Enter into the joy of your master.' Also, the one who had received the 2 talents came up and said, 'Master, you entrusted 2 talents to me. See, I have gained 2 more talents.' His master said to him, 'Well done, good and faithful slave. You were faithful with a few things. I will put you in charge of many things. Enter into the joy of your master.'" We know the parable goes on. And there was one that did nothing with it, and that was taken away from him. If we want Elizabeth Chapel to grow spiritually and to be something that is wonderful, not that we're not already there, but something advanced, something better than it's ever been, you know what we need to do? Be faithful with what He's given us. Be faithful with the people He's given us. If we're not faithful with one another, why would He send more people here? And so we have to understand that God has blessed this church in ways that I don't know if y'all know it. I hope you do, but y'all have been here a lot longer than I have, right? And coming in as the new guy, all I see is wonderful potential. I see love. I see faithfulness. I see great things in store. But when we've been around it a long time, that which we're more familiar with, we tend to take for granted, don't we? I'm telling you, God has something special in store for Elizabeth Chapel. And don't say, preacher, what is it? I have no idea. But the way we get it is to be faithful with what we have now. And He will add to us. He will grow us. He will build His church as He sees fit. You know, I want to close with this. Solomon's wisdom should be something that we learn from. In Proverbs 30, verses 7 through 9, it says, 2 things I asked of you. Do not refuse me before I die. Keep deception and lies far from me. Give me neither poverty nor riches. Feed me with the food that is my portion, that I not be full and deny you and say, who is the Lord? Or that I not be in want and steal and profane the name of my God. What is Solomon saying? Keep deception and lies far from me. Don't keep up with the Joneses of other churches. Well, over here they do that. Well, wonderful. Maybe we don't have the people to do that. Maybe that's not who we are. Maybe that's not what God's plan for us is. Let's look around, see who we are, and let's be faithful with the body that God has given us here at Elizabeth Chapel. Desire to have our needs met, honor God, and be faithful to Him. And I promise you, He will bless us in ways that we cannot comprehend. We'll be, like I told you this morning, we'll be drinking off the counter because that cup is overflowing. Amen. I want to ask Tony, if you would, to come lead us in an invitational hymn. Miss Catherine, you can come, or you can make him Church of Christ at either one. It's up to you. If there's any need here this evening, the altar is open. But I pray that we all would work into our prayer lives and our desires. Father, help me be faithful within your church and your kingdom with what you've given me, so that we can all be blessed.